Every heart is beating true and blue for the red and blue. After 57 long years, the Demons are premiers in 2021.
Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. It's the eve of AFL and NRL season, and we're back. And I can't wait to preview this year's AFL and NRL and have a look at the future, see where we can snipe bookies, and more importantly, help you guys win on your long-term bets. We're going to have a look at the contenders, the pretenders, the bolters, and who's going to get hit with the wooden spoon. So it's great to be back for our sports shows. It's been a hive of activity in the off-season, and racing's in full gear. We've said goodbye to the NFL season, but it's great to be back with the main event. And a little bit of a change-up for this season. We're going to chop the show into half. So we're going to go to first look on a Monday, and we'll have a little bit of a quick review of the round that's just been, and then we're going to preview a couple of early lines that have taken our fancy, so we can snip our bookies early in the week on a Monday. And then we're going to do a Friday show where we're going to sum up the news week, and then we're going to have a deeper look at the remaining games. So AFL and NRL chopped in half. You'll get a bit of Toprope, bit of MG, bit of OB, and Nikki's going to be one of the new hosts for the Monday show. So Little Birdie Podcast, same amount of content, but split in two, so we can just keep up to date with better prices and more accuracy around the injuries and the moves as they happen. But without further ado, we welcome back OB, who'll be the new host of Friday Lines. Welcome back, OB.
Good to be here, Scooty. Hopefully you're nice and dry up there, mate. You've moved up there for the lifestyle. It starts raining. Next minute you'll be moving to the Sahara, and it'll be like the Nile.
Oh, the weather's just amazing up here. I'm not sure it's going to help the Gold Coast Suns or otherwise, but I'll tell you what they need to do. They need to fix up their membership page. If you want to have a little bit of a giggle on how not to design a website or membership options, make sure you click through and try and buy a Gold Coast membership and then compare it to your own home club. So I had a little bit of a look at Hawthorn, and I've spent about 20 minutes on the Gold Coast Suns site, and I still don't know how to purchase a Gold Coast Suns membership. So, OB, you're in AFL Clubland. You might have to fire in an email there and give Tony Cochrane a bit of advice.
Well, that's probably why they've only got 8,848 members, because it's too hard to buy one. Of those memberships, there are probably a lot of family memberships of players or past players. But yeah, look, I think he's a neighbour of yours now, Tony Cochrane. So just walk up there, knock on the door and say, Tony, I'm here to help. Design background, entrepreneur, away you go.
Oh, I'm sure I'd love the feedback, but we've sunk the teeth in and the boots into Gold Coast Suns a few times, but I'll try and get a Gold Coast Suns hat for my cameos. I'll have the Super Sub vest on, so if someone's away sick or COVID, I'll pop onto the shows, but you're going to see less of me, and I'll be hiding in the racing shows for the rest of the year. But our AFL expert is back, MG. He's been tortured by the AFLW for the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure how he does it. The Brizzy Lions Melbourne game was enough for me. The remote nearly went through the TV, and I was sort of just done and dusted after that. But how sick do you have to be to watch AFLW? But welcome back, MG.
Thanks, Scooty. Unfortunately, you put it on my job description when I started at Little Birdie last year, and said there's a short season, there's not too many games, the quarters are short, so you thought you put it down as an easy sport for me, but it hurts the eyeballs on a weekly basis. But it's sometimes there's mistakes made, and we pick up on them and get a result. So it's not all too bad. You've got two weeks left in the women's footy now, Scooty, and then you'll be looking forward to the finals.
I won't be watching any of the finals. I only just caught a little bit of the practice match last night with Melbourne and the D's. And a question for you, OB. What's this new AFL umpire dissent rule? I think it's cost Melbourne $750s last night. You guys just can't leave the game alone, can you?
No, look, it's probably coming a few years too late, to be perfectly honest. And I think what happens is that the game's gone too far towards the umpire abuse is just abhorrent at the moment. So they've sort of brought it back too far the other way. And like anything, by round one it will be perfect. The AFL don't get too many things wrong. So I think you'll see that sort of water finds its level, as you know, up there in Queensland. It just takes a little bit longer, but I think it's a bit of a storm in the teacup. Players just shut your mouth, get on with it, and things will be all right.
Nice, hard and tough approach. What do you think, MG, of last night's spectacle from the umpires?
Yeah, I agree with OB in terms of they're going to make a statement during these games where it doesn't really count for anything. and they want to stamp it out before round one. I'm not sure it'll be perfect by round one, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, they definitely come out, made a statement. I'm sure they'll do it, this week and the next week. So every club gets a feel for the game and how the umpires are going to go about it. And, like anything, the players will adjust, the coaching will get in their ear. The 50 metre, I don't think they'll be able to carry it into round one. And I hope that the next 2 weeks that the players will take it on board because, again, it'll just irate the spectators and they can't afford around the middle of the ground for umpire dissent giving away as many goals as what they did last night. So hopefully the players adjust really quickly, get on board, and we don't see it from round one onwards. And if the players are smart enough and the coaches do it in the right way, then hopefully we don't see any or many 50s as we did last night.
And that's it. I think that the moment you start giving away goals from 50s, from dissent, the coach gets annoyed, flows onto the players in their Monday review. So the players just have to shut their mouth. Bit of respect towards the umpires, and then it flows onto junior and community football. Yeah, that's the aim, and that's the long-term objective.
I thought it was interesting, two aspects last night, that Max Gawn fired off a shot when he was running off the ground, which gave away a kick from just outside 50, put it in the goal square. And then the next quarter, Petrarca did something which I'm not sure it was demonstrative, but he gave away a similar 50, and Max Gawn went straight up to him, and even though it was Petrarca, virtually put a finger on his chest and told him that, so even that aspect of the 1-2 punch of Gawn, the captain, doing it and giving away, he would have been told to set the scene. Then when Petrarca does it, and I think that was a good look for Melbourne.
100%. And that's what happens. Yeah, the moment your star players start giving them away, they know that it impacts the team, impacts the scoreboard. I think they'll just button it and get on with it.
Yeah, it will be a better look for the game, Scooty. I know it hurt last night in terms of not that anyone's betting these games necessarily, but 7 50s, and I think 5 of them resulted in goals. They'll just set the scene and hopefully they'll stamp it out before round one.
Nice little smack, and hopefully it won't just send out us punters and fans absolutely crackers. All right, let's get straight into it, and we'll have a look at Top Sport's Premiership market here. Odds are on the screen now, courtesy of Top Sport. And it looks like they've just done a cut and paste jobby here. The D's $4.40, Western Bulldogs $7, MG's got a picture of the Brizzy Lions on his dunny door, $7.50, Port Adelaide $11. The Cats are double figures. This is a bit of a surprise, $12 for some maybe. The Tigers $12, Swans $13, GWS $15, $17 for the Bombers, and then the Saints are $21 there, and you can get much, much bigger odds for the rest of the chances. So we might just have a look at another graphic here and have a look at everyone's top 8 and Premiership selections. So we've got all 3 selections from the boys and projected top 8s there, and we might just go through a couple of talking points here. It looks like me and OB have found Melbourne, and then MG's leaning with Brisbane again. What's the reason Brisbane are going to overcome or be the premier team compared to a Melbourne side, MG?
Yeah, well, Scooty, I just think it's more of a price point at the moment. I think Melbourne are obviously too short, but I understand how dominant they were winning the grand final last year, and around that 440, 450 price, I just don't think there's a lot of value going in if you're going to back Melbourne at this stage. My reasoning for Brisbane, I don't think it's changed actually too much from last year. Sound like a bit like Toprope just tipping the Storm back-to-back years, but I think Brisbane were as good as they could have been up until their forward line got decimated late. And I'm not saying they would have won the premiership, but they certainly would have been in the mix. They just lost their last game anyway going into it with a dysfunctional forward line, which Danaher couldn't carry through. That was always going to be that he's not the leading person. He needs to be part of the solution. But I think Brisbane, they're fit and healthy at the moment. I know it's a long season, plenty can change. I just think a lot of things match up well. Their age bracket, they've got a good home ground advantage. They're well balanced. Their probably glaring weakness is still they're going to have to rely on Oscar McInerney, and he's going to have to carry it. I don't see they've got a backup in the rucks department, and Danaher's going to have to carry some of that. But there's not too much between the top teams, Scoot. Whether you're tipping Melbourne or the Bulldogs, even Port Adelaide, I think are reasonably well balanced. I think GWS, I know you guys don't seem to have them in your 8, either of you, which is interesting. I think GWS is another one that got too many injuries last year, and I just think when you write down the best teams across the board for everyone that they can put on the park, I think GWS have got some upside for me. But getting back to Brisbane, I just think they're the most well-balanced going in, Scoot. And I think, they had a lot of injuries last year to the key points. So I think, all things given even, got a strong home ground advantage at the $7.50 price point at the moment. If I was having a bet right now, that they're the team I get on board. I think they've got a reasonable draw as well. They got Port Adelaide first up at home. I think that's a real key to set this season. Last year they started 1-3, got behind the 8 ball, and were kind of, they really were good in the middle stages before they got injured. The draw sets up, they've got okay through the first 5, but if you look through to halfway through the season, I can see them being positioned around the 9-2, 8-3 mark. So at the price point, I think they'll be one of the shorteners in the premiership market.
And just to compare Brisbane with Melbourne, so Melbourne had a dream run with injuries. Yes. So Adam Tomlinson aside, yes, did his knee, but then Harrison Petty stepped up in that role. Brisbane had no luck.
Yep.
Hipwood, Rayner, the one that I rate, McStay, the one that I rate that people aren't really talking about is Noah Ainsworth. Yep. I think he's a really good player. Just allows then that Rich can sort of zone off and play the running game. He's sort of that lockdown defender. He's been playing on the wings to give him a bit more run. McCluggage might go inside. I think they're really well balanced, Brisbane. The ruck stocks have been improved. They've got Darcy Fort from Geelong. He's a 29, 30-year-old ruckman. So him and McInerney have been working really well together. I think in the first half of the year until Hipwood's back, McInerney might play forward and Ford a little bit more on the ruck. Harris Andrews didn't have a great year last year. I think
he was injured for a lot of it as well.
And that's right. So he's had a full preseason. Yep. Danaher's had a full preseason. Jared Berry's had a full preseason. So everyone says, full preseason, it's a bit, la-da-da. But I think that, they didn't have a full preseason last year. They were just playing catch-up. And in the end, it sort of hurt them in the back end. So, fingers crossed. I'm bullish on Brisbane. I can't see many beating Melbourne.
Yep.
But I think Brisbane match up pretty well with them. Probably should have beaten them. They played them at Metricon. There was a couple of silly errors that they gave away, a couple of 50s from Zorko and a couple of others. So, look, Brisbane, age bracket, game demographic, finals experience, home ground advantage still at the Gabba with, it's obviously, it looks like it's going to be sort of fly in, fly out model this year. So I think that's going to help them. So look, I'm bullish on Brisbane. I don't think you can go past Melbourne. I think Scooty agrees. They've got the depth. They're going really well. Port Adelaide, bit of an unknown quantity there. And then I really like Essendon. I think they're going to come from the clouds. They're my bolter. But it's always a good time of year. Everyone's on a level playing field. I still hold out a little bit of hope that Hawthorn can win it. But we've had our run, haven't we, Scooty? We can have let the others have a bit of a run in the sun for a while.
If we just get that graphic back up, I've left a little question mark there for the lucky 8th spot. But just quickly on Port Adelaide, I'm a little bit worried about Port Adelaide. Some mental scarring around that prelim. They got absolutely belted by the Western Bulldogs, and I guess I've left out Port Adelaide and Geelong out of my top 4s, and Geelong were another side that got their pants absolutely pulled down in the prelim final. I expect both of those sides maybe not to recover from that. And I just see, and I agree with you guys, I think the Brisbane Lions are the team that can go to the next step with the Cam Rayner injected in the side. Western Bulldogs are going to be solid as a rock also. And if we go further down, I guess, you and I here, OB, Essendon, we've both got sneaking into our top 4 there. Another interesting one, just looking at the top 8 quickly, is Richmond for you, MG. You're holding on to some hope there. What's your angle?
I put Richmond in at 7th just with, when you go through the draw, you price up the games, and that's how you come up with your order of your top 8. Richmond had obviously decimated by injuries pretty much all through the year, especially on the back end. They kind of threw the towel in on the back end. I know the coach kept portraying the message like, we haven't given up, but you could see the gas go out of the players. I just think, Dusty Martin, and not saying that they're a one-man team, but geez, he's a bloody good one to have. And I just think he had a turbulent year last year. I don't think he was falling off. What I've seen of him this year, he is absolutely ready to go. I'm not saying you can carry him to a top 4 or anything like that, but I just think they'll rebound. Their best side is top 8 material. And I know they've got some downsides and they've got some gaps to cover, and they don't have the depth that they've had in previous years. But a lot of these teams drop away really quickly, and it's only when you really put their best sides on the park and then you try and find the next 5 or 6 players to go on the list in their depth list that a lot of sides cannot carry through 22 games for the year and expect to be either in the top 4 or the top 8. So sometimes it's just the bottom half of the 8 to me is kind of who's left or who's got the potential. And I mean, you know, I didn't actually find Essendon. Essendon were my 9th team, but they're all clustered together, kind of Richmond, Geelong, Essendon, and it kind of comes down that, you know, it's a game here or a game there, and a few injuries that can change sides. I think last year the flag ended up, I think the gap between the top 6 and 7th was 4 games on the ladder, which is quite extraordinary of a gap, and it just shows, I think, the top sides are better than everybody else. I really think the top 3 sides, which we've pretty much found universally, except you've got Port up there, I think Melbourne, Brisbane and Bulldogs, I think I'd be pretty surprised at this stage if one of them didn't win the flag.
Yeah, I'm not so sure on the Bulldogs. I think they had a really good run last year, especially in the finals, and it all came together for them. The planets aligned. I just, you know, when they won the Premiership in 2016, they finished 7th.
Yep.
Last year they finished 6th. So they haven't been that top 4. I just don't. Yeah. You know, I worry about their forward line. You know, Josh Bruce probably isn't back to sort of, you know, round 6 or 8. Norton's a star, but I think you can quell him a little bit.
Yep.
And then, you know, where else do they get the goals? And then also their backline, they've got Tim O'Brien there now. Like, you know, as a frustrated Hawthorn supporter seeing, you know, the potential in Tim, you know, everyone can see it for night and day. He's got so much potential. But then, you know, their backline sort of, you know, it's, you know,
Keith.
Josh Shackey, Keith's undersized,
Yeah.
but, you know, is he a real key forward against the big, you know, 200-centimetre guys? I'm not sure he is.
Yep.
And then just, you know, Easton Wood probably got found out by sort of, you know, Bailey Fritsch. I know he's retired now, but he's going to be a big gap there. So, I just worry there's a few gaps, and their midfield is elite. Their midfield is as good as any. But, you know, sort of, Bontempelli will have to have another great year. Treloar's had a full pre-season, which, you know, everyone's spruiking. But I just worry about the Bulldogs. I just, you know, and just even Luke Beveridge. I love Bevo, but just some of the terminology is coming out of them. I think they think they're probably a little bit better than they are, and they probably have to get a little bit hungrier.
Yeah, I think the key, I think looking at the Bulldogs, and I think Scooty's man, I don't know how upbeat he's in the off-season. I haven't heard his name, but he mentioned, well, obviously around the office as much, but Hugo Hagan is, you know, he's probably still the X factor. And I think that what they did with him last year, not to protect him, but they gave him a taste of him, and he goes away and works on his game. Now that Bruce is out, I think he gets his opportunity. He gets a run of games to prove himself, get in the system and adjust. And I think if Norton can hold the attention of the ball going in, I think he will get enough of the ball. And if he starts kicking 2 or 3 goals a game, I think his confidence will come up. Their midfield's dominant, but so are a lot of top sides as well. You need to do it at both ends of the park to be the difference. And I agree with you. The X factor the Bulldogs probably don't have. They need everything going their way to still win a flag. But, you know, saying that, grand final, Bont kicks that goal when they're up and running. You know, I know they got blown away in the end, but, geez, I tell you what, some of the Bulldogs people were putting the champagne on ice.
100%. So they were 19 points up halfway through the third quarter. So you can't take that away from them. But my worry is still the ruck.
Yes.
You know, correct. English, Martin. Like, I'm a big Martin
But the coach
fan,
has no respect for the ruck.
And that's right. And but it's coming to bite them. So,
well, I mean, you don't need any better example of what Gawn did to you.
100%.
And even Luke Jackson, when he went in there, I mean, you know, he was just as important as anyone else on the day.
That's right.
But unless he changes his attitude, and, you know, plenty of Bulldog supporters are the same. They've got to make a decision on English, and hopefully Martin can hold up the end. But he has no respect for the ruck. He doesn't care about it.
No, exactly right. So that's a little bit of a worry. I went out and watched Bulldogs Essendon practice game last week. Hugo Hagan was poor. So hopefully he gets a little bit of continuity, whereas, you know, on the other hand, you know, Essendon were really impressive in that. They look slick, well coached.
Yep.
That's why I've got Essendon in the top 4. I'm a bit bullish on them, and the other 2 I really like are Fremantle and Carlton. If there's any going to be
let's get to that OB, and Carlton just seemed a bit of a mystery to me. Liam Jones is playing Palm Beach Currumbin. He said no to the Vax, and Jack Darling's the obvious other one. But I can't see how Carlton make the 8. And with you, MG, I can't see how Essendon miss the 8. I'm prepared to peroxide the melon. Scoot Shady will return if the Bombers miss the 8, or if Carlton make the 8. So I'll give you 2 chances to peroxide the melon, and I'll even throw in a Gold Coast membership for next season if I'm wrong as well.
Yeah, you can keep the Gold Coast membership on ice, but we'll hold you to the other 2. I just think for Carlton, it's sort of now or never. Like, it's sort of, okay, they've got a new coach, they got rid of T because the players were off him. Well, okay, if you're such a great club, put up or stump up. You know, it's now is the time. Like look, the one that's going to hurt them is Sam Walsh, and he's probably out to about round 8. That's going to hurt them. He is a genuine star footballer.
Yes.
He is the closest person I've seen to Chris Judd. Yep. He is just a star. He'll carry them with him. So if he comes, if they're sort of, 5-3, 4-4 when he comes back, you just don't know about them. They're just, Cherry's a good player. Cripps looks fit and healthy. Mackay, Kerno, they've got some stars. And it's now or never. You sack a coach, and normally the next year you do get a bit of an increase. So that's why I think they'll make the finals.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I understand. And listen, watching last night's game, Carlton supporters have got to be frustrated because in patches they play fast, attacking, very good football, and it's pretty to watch. But they just have too many lapses. And they again last night, they had Melbourne 3 or 4 times, 6, 7 goals down, and Melbourne were disinterested. And yet they run them to a goal. And it's just like, Carlton over a season just let you down too many times. And you can't be investing in a side like Carlton. And their losing culture now runs for too long, in my opinion. And it's got to be a wait and see till they actually do it to have any kind of belief. Their best is very good. But I just think I think it's more upstairs than the physical for me. I mean, their best side on paper, you would think are a chance to make the 8, but I tell you what, you're a brave man. You're gonna get a lot more grey hairs following Carlton this year and expecting them to do well, I would have thought.
Eddie, what do you?
Well, I've got not much to say about Carlton, but I'll cover the bolter that we've both lined up on here. OB, and I think the Bombers can just absolutely spring out of the gates, and the $17 for the Premiership might be an okay bet. In the first 5 rounds, they don't leave Melbourne. They've got Cats at the MCG, they got Lions at Marvel, they got the D's at the MCG, they got the Crows at Marvel, and then Freo at Marvel Stadium. So I've got Essendon 4-1 at the first 5 rounds, and the team that we're sort of all lining up to slip out of the top 4 is the Cats, who open up with a trickier draw. So they've got the Bombers at the MCG, they've got the Swans at the SCG, they've got Collingwood at the MCG, so they'll probably win that one. And then they've got the Lions at the Cattery, which is no gimme. They were blessed last year when they robbed the Lions down there last time. And then they've got the Hawks in that traditional matchup. So the Cats could equally be 1-4 or 2-3 if they polish or knock off the Pies and the Hawks, which you might expect. But I think that's the big reversal. I see Essendon's game style a lot faster. I think their kids will all come on a bit, and I just don't know where the improvement's going to come for Geelong from a leg speed and just a game style. They're a tough watch, the Cats, when they go into the defensive shell.
Yeah, they are. The only thing about the Cats is that they've got Jeremy Cameron, who is he's my tip for the Coleman, him and Joe Danaher. So we'll get to that probably next week. But he's a good player. Takes him a while. Teams, apart from Tom Boyd, you don't get a big signing free agent that comes in and the first year they win a premiership or they do really well. So it just takes them a little bit of time to get some chemistry. Dangerfield's done an extra pre-season by saving people in the Moggs Creek surf. So he's just it's all don't write off the Cats just yet. Segler's down there, which look, as a Hawthorn supporter, he's no world beater, but he's solid, he's serviceable, he's big, he's robust. So if you get him on the park, Blitzars has to play back, has to play key post. And then you sort of, Tom Stewart back, which they didn't have him for the back end of the year. He is a genuine star. I know star and A-grader gets thrown around a lot in AFL
he's their best player.
I could not agree more. Yeah. So he's a 2-time All-Australian, won the Kari Greaves medal last year when he didn't play the last 4 or 5 games. So they've just got Patrick Dangerfield's a good player. Parfitt, these guys should come on. So I'm a little bit more bullish on the Cats. I've got them finishing 5th. I still think that they've just got one more tilt at it. Then after that, you should probably start again.
Yeah, I think history shows it's hard to pot Geelong. Their record is it's the reverse of Carlton, right? They're an outstanding club. They've been top 4, top 8 forever. And I know they keep topping up, and they should but their home ground advantage is too good. They got too many stars, as you mentioned through. They won't miss the 8. I just can't see it. There's too many bad sides below them. They've got too dominant a home ground advantage, and they'd have to have too many injuries, in my opinion, to miss the 8. The only thing that worries me, I'm different on the Essendon draw. I don't know what Scooty's looking at. I mean, maybe I'll price them up differently, but this start, Scooty, they've got Geelong to start with Jer. They're 270 outsiders, and then they've got Brisbane and Melbourne. So I've got them 0-3 starting potentially, and I've got them on my top 8 by round 11. They've played 7 out of the 8 teams. I think their draw is actually horrendous to start with, and they'll do. If they could be anywhere 50-50 to round 11, Scooty, I'll change my opinion on it. But I think they're going to be a side that might be under pressure early if they can't get one on the board in the first 3. And I think the Geelong game becomes massive for them. If they miss that one, go into Brisbane and then Melbourne, it's not the easiest draw I've ever seen. So their next 3 is not bad, but then they play the Bulldogs, then they've got Sydney, Richmond and Port. I think Essendon, listen, Scooty, I'm involved in Essendon. I've got a lot of family pressure on the Essendon one, and also a lot of side betting action goes on with Essendon and Bulldogs and these kind of teams. So I do have to study this team hard, and I try not to get it wrong often because the family dinners aren't great. So, Essendon are a good side. They're on the upward curve. I get that, but a lot of things still need to go right for Essendon. I don't think Stringer can go to another level. I'm not sure they're going to get any more out of Shield. They're 3 or 4 first gamers of the year players that played last year. There is a thing called second year blues as well. So it's just not that every player goes on and plays again. Draper's a star. Draper will be, I think, potentially the top 3 or 4 ruckman this year. That's not a big statement. I just think he can carry them a long way. They've got potential, but they've also got some holes, Essendon. Their defence, a lot's saying that, whether Hurley comes back or not, Hooker's running out of gas. I just think they've got equally amount of downsides, and I think their draw's tough. And if they don't get a win in the first 3, I think they'll put themselves under pressure. But
Hooker's retired, so that's going to be hard.
There you go.
Hard for
he
him
is
to
out
play.
of gas.
Yep, so he's well and truly out of gas. But look, James Stewart, he could.
Yes.
He's a great size, great athlete. Mason Redmond, he could play sort of half-back wing. Jordan Ridley is a very, very good footballer. Yeah. I won't go as far as saying star because I think it's overused, but he is a very, very good player. He's on the
pathway too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Heppel down there sort of, strengthens them up a bit. It's sort of their forward half of mine. It's sort of, Stringer. If Peter Wright can clunk them, he's a little bit too easy to defend at this stage. Then you've got Jones down there as well. Look, I just think their game style will stack up. I think their team defence is very good. And I think they're just their pressure around the football with Parrish, Merritt and these types, Shield, Devon Smith, people sort of write him off, but he's very good structurally, sets up really well. And if these guys can start playing the selfless way that Melbourne have, if rather than be ball hunter, if Shield can play on a wing and be trained to play on a wing and play outside and hold his width, and Smith can just sort of rather be a ball hunter, can sort of structurally help them. I think the upside's enormous for the Bombers.
Yep.
All right, I do take on board the first couple of matches are absolutely critical, but I think I'm all over the Bombers. Round 1 at $2.70 looks an absolute steal, but you can talk about that in the next couple of weeks. Let's have a quick look at the odds for the Wooden Spoon. It's an interesting one here. Gold Coast Suns are now $3. North Melbourne are $3.80. Adelaide Crows $6.50. Eagles $6.50. Collingwood $7. Hawthorn $7. And you've got Carlton at $13. And that's the hard end of the market there. But we both agree, MG, with the Gold Coast Suns. Ben King out for the season. And Stuart Dew and his coaching team must be under a stack of pressure. I think it's his last year for his contract. They lost Greenwood. It was a real poorly managed situation, that, to the Kangaroos. Not sure how they let that happen. I think they're just absolutely on fumes. They need someone like a Clarkson or someone to give a fresh change there, because that's just an absolute foot fault to lose a player like Greenwood to the Kangaroos. MG.
Yeah, they've had a mare of an off-season, and now they're probably getting flooded out of their club rooms, Scooty. Have you checked on them of late? It's... to lose King is heartbreaking for them because they're probably going to lose him at the end of the year anyway, chances are. But, to lose him, coach is under the pump. I think he's out the door. I think, you can see if they don't get a decent start, Gold Coast and the AFL have set them up in the last couple of years, very soft draws early to try and, get them up and about. But, I think There's no certainty for the Wooden Spoon. $3 is probably about right because there are some very ordinary sides around them as well. And I think this year going in, there's probably 4 or 5 sides OB that you could see winning the Wooden Spoon wouldn't surprise. I just think at the low end, Gold Coast have got a lot of issues. You'll get a membership pretty cheap up there, Scoot, I think.
Look, $3 is about right, but I think Gold Coast is the easy selection, and I'm not putting you guys there, but they've Rao, Anderson, Miller, Witts, the core's there. I think the nucleus are all right. Their backline's pretty good. Up forward, King's a huge loss. So don't get me wrong, but they've got Casbolt and Chol from Richmond, so they're going to help. But look, I think Rao and Anderson are sensational players. Rao's probably had the second year blues a little bit coming off the shoulder reconstruction, so hopefully he's fit and firing. And then they've Elijah Hollands is a very good player that hasn't played yet. He's coming off a knee. For mine, I reckon West Coast are in a world of hurt, absolute world of hurt. They're trying to sign players with the supplementary selections now. I read Patrick Naish is going over there to train. Like Richmond was decimated last year and he couldn't get a game there. He's not the answer. No Darling, who's a very good player. Cripps is injured. A lot relies on Nat Nui. A few years ago, Gaff was probably the best player in the competition. Then he got suspended and he's gone downhill. So, I've got some real worries about West Coast, real worries. Yeah,
not potting you there. I think, West Coast do. They've got, and who knows how COVID's going to affect them this year as well. They're probably one of the teams with Fremantle that have got the biggest cloud of COVID hanging over them right now, I guess. It's not long-term, but even if it affects them for a bit,
absolutely,
it's just an added ingredient into already the trouble that they've got. I think they can't replace Darling.
And I think it's funny that teams can embrace COVID and embrace the situation. I think Fremantle did that. Yeah, they embraced it. Their young players galvanised. West Coast, all you hear is complaining. Yeah. All you hear is excuses, complaining. Whereas Fremantle just get on with it. I'm a big Fremantle fan. I've got them in the 8. And I just think that Longmuir has just got them on this path that they, Sarong, Brayshaw, Fife's back fit. So I think there's 2 ways to look at the COVID situation. You can either embrace it or, you go the other way and sort of say, why us? It gets too hard. So I think West Coast in that, and it sort of starts at the top. And I'm not sure after this year how much longer Adam Simpson would sort of hang around in Perth, being away from his family here in Melbourne as well. Yeah. Well,
it stemmed from the coach.
That's right.
You can't have him going into press conferences and saying why us or the players, or been away for too long and stuff like that. I think what it comes down to is West Coast have had it on their terms from the AFL for a long time. And they've been not a protected commodity, but they're a powerful club, and they've just always had their own ways. And something like COVID goes against them, and all of a sudden, they throw the bath out, I guess, a bit too. And you're right. If you don't embrace it, I mean, heard Bellamy speak during the week, and they were virtually been away for 2 years. And I know, the Warriors. I know it's a different sport, but it's a mentality,
That's right?
Yep. And they didn't have their family and friends around them for 5 months last year. So. West Coast were only away for a certain amount of time. And I know, obviously it's difficult, but you're a paid professional sportsman, right, and it's a mindset. And you saw how bad West Coast run of form was when they knew they had to go away for a strength of time. So
couldn't agree more. You either embrace it or you drop your bottom lip and you sulk, and then it becomes infectious and becomes a bit of a disease throughout the club. So.
There are excuses. It breeds excuses.
Right, exactly. And then you sort of think, I'll cut corner here because it's COVID. I can't go and do my second weight session because I don't have a gym. Well, you find a way. Yeah. Good players find a way.
And teams do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
What about you, Scooty? You're pretty keen on Collingwood, you were telling me earlier, for the Wooden Spoon.
Yeah, I can see that they had a couple of injuries last year, but my angle is that I think Craig McRae's got nothing to prove year one. So if he can persist and, I guess, fend the media off and blood kids for another year, scoop up a couple of key draft picks and really bottom this Collingwood side out for one more season, I think the time that they put into kids last year and then what they would get out of kids this year, they'll be able to propel themselves back up the ladder faster. So if I was Craig McRae, I'd be in there and I'd be absolutely ruthless, start fresh, but it may cause a little bit of pain for this next season because his contract's a long-term contract. He has to do the right thing and get the guys to a flag within sort of year 3 or peak at year 4 it's lunacy for him if he's going to hang on to all these older players. So I'd be trying to bottom out Collingwood and blood some kids for one more season, and then really try and push for the 8 the year after in 2023. So Collingwood and West Coast, if you're looking outside the Gold Coast Suns, I think that would appeal to me. But they've got to pick up the pieces at Collingwood. There's not much going right there for the last 12 months, that's for sure.
The only two things I'll say about Collingwood are Brodie Grundy and Darcy Moore. I just think that I cannot talk highly enough of Darcy Moore. I've got him down as my smoky for the Brownlow. Just the way he plays and his athleticism, I think he's just a brilliant footballer. And Grundy, well, I think he was sort of carrying an injury last year. COVID didn't agree with him, and playing in the hubs didn't agree with him. So I just think that they're probably the two players that can probably carry Collingwood or bring them on a little bit quicker than what you'd expect.
Yeah, I'm not as down on Collingwood either. I'll probably not have them in the bottom 4. Actually, I think I'm not sure where the Kangaroos. I think they're probably just the level below as well. And I think Adelaide are
agreed.
They're only probably just above Gold Coast, Scooty, for mine. I think Adelaide, when you put their best side on paper, haven't heard of about 6 of them. And I don't know where Adelaide are at, and they're probably lucky Gold Coast are in the comp this year. Otherwise, they'd be getting some. Well, they will get heat on them anyway. But I've got Adelaide right down there. And with I'm a bit more bullish on Collingwood. I'd be really potting Adelaide, and I think Kangaroos are probably not going to get out of the bottom 4 this year.
No, but Kangaroos are on the right path.
Yes.
I think. Horn Francis is just he could be anything. Yep. Really good footballer. Adelaide have got Josh Rochelle, Caulfield Grammar boy from the country. Good player, but they're going to take time. Yep. Adelaide, if I hear about this camp one more time.
From 2017.
It's 2017. They're still going on about it. Now they're saying that Caroline Wilson and Sam McClure should apologise. Well, they have, but they want more. So this camp, seriously, they tried to get an edge. It hasn't worked, and they're paying the price for it, and they've still paid the price for it, and just get on with it.
Yeah, you've got to bury that.
Absolutely.
All right, to summarise there, I think it's pretty clear that it's going to be or summary of all the boys' tips here. I think it's going to be Melbourne, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide as the major contenders. The Bolters seem to be GWS from MG, Essendon for me and OB, and then we're expecting a bit of torture from Geelong, West Coast, St Kilda. Carlton, we're a bit up and down with that one, and then Richmond, we can't really agree on that also. Gold Coast seem to be the rightful favourite for the Wooden Spoon, and some tough times ahead maybe for the West Coast Eagles. And fascinating to see what happens with the border and the COVID situation. Could be 1-2 games missing if players test positive to COVID, but really up in the air. We're up for a pretty turbulent season by the sound of it. Next week, for the AFL segment, we'll have a look at the Brownlow, the Coleman, and the Rising Star. OB is going to be the brand new host with MG, and I might just have another cameo performance, tip a couple of futures, and make a couple of other bold statements. Might have to go and help out the Gold Coast Suns. A little tricky one with the Gold Coast Suns that I've realised. Metricon, the OB, limited parking at Metricon Stadium. You basically have to park at the Merrimack Tip and get on a bus, or you have to get a bus from Pacific Fair. The public transport system is all sorts here, and they haven't enabled enough car parks to go out and watch the game. So I don't know what they're thinking out at the Gold Coast Suns.
I think it comes with a membership. So if you find on the website, there's a link to car parking that comes with your membership. So just keep looking, Scoot. You should get it in the next 40 minutes or so, mate.
It's terrible. If you're betting futures, make sure you check out TopSport. They've been in the game for over 35 years, and they're the biggest betting bookie without a shadow of a doubt. So check out their futures markets and try and find some value in there. Up next, we've got Toprope off the bench. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. It's our futures episode here, and it's time to talk rugby league, and who else but our favourite, Toprope Tedeschi. How are you, big fella?
Well, I'm pretty excited, boys. Well, I was half an hour ago, and then I've been listening to nothing but AFL chat, so let's get real.
Mate, it's been a big off-season for the NRL, but as MG just alluded to, there's no scandal. There's nothing happened. There's no bubblers. There's no rooting in toilets. Cam Munster's cleaned up his act. It's a snooze fest in the NRL.
Look, the PBL's finally got everything in order. No dramas about the season. Everyone's ready to roll. Don't mind the fact that 3 players did get suspended for having a white substance early in the off-season. Never mind any of that stuff.
That doesn't count. MG's rubbing shoulders. He went to the Storm launch the other night. How was it, MG?
Yeah, very good. I was speaking of Toprope on the back of the NFL season, and I thought I was going to be more a Manly boy this year, but after going to the Storm, listening to the coach and a few of the players, especially the new recruit on the wing, they sound very confident. I've got nothing to compare it to with other rugby leagues. I'm sure they all are, but I was telling Toprope earlier, Bellamy they were talking about his 500th coaching game coming up. I think it was round 2, but he is stinging from that loss last year, and he just said he has really burnt it into the players in the off season. So they're ready to roll, and it'll be interesting to see. Toprope loves the Storm, so if he's got him on top, I'm going to have to follow again.
Toprope, you there, mate? Can you hear that, Toprope? Can you hear that? Can you hear this?
I've got
Can you hear it? Hold on, just wait. It's the Bulldogs, mate. They're coming. Trent Barrett has got them purring. Matty Burton is playing enormous. At the end of the day, Gus Gill is the coach, but Trent Barrett is just he's going to take the fall for us. But they're coming. Addo Carr on the wing. Oh, mate, we're back.
I love this scenario. I love it. The fact that he's got all the tools now, no excuses anymore. Find out Trent. This is how good a coach Trent Barrett is. He took Tom Trbojevic to 15th spot on the ladder. What a star.
No, he's a new man. He's born again. He's a bit like Michael Voss down here. He's born again. He's had a bit of time out, and he's back.
The living mannequin, Trent Barrett, flying.
Toprope, what's happened in the off-season for the rule changes? It was an absolute circus last year. The total overs, the bookies were asleep at the wheel. Don't give away all your trick shots just yet. Save it for your subs and next week's show. But what's the big rule changes that you're going to see changes in the point scoring?
Yeah, nothing really of note other than the fact the set restarts in your own half will be awarded a penalty instead of just a 6 again. So that was taken advantage of, particularly by the good teams, deliberately giving away kind of set restarts on the 0 tackle or the first tackle just to get their line set. So positive rule change. PBL does it again.
And so could that be sort of first point scorer? The penalty goal might come into it a little bit more.
No, because it's only in your own half, so I don't think it'll have an impact on that. What I do think it will have an impact on is scoring went down a little bit towards the back end of last year. I can kind of see it, not bursting up to kind of the early season last year levels, but kind of getting back up to probably a more normal level than we kind of saw at the back end of last year. There won't be the ability to kind of really shut down those teams by just laying all over the ruck, getting lights. Penrith were the best at it last year, so I think we'll see quite a bit more open footy on that front.
And Toprope, there's been a lot of talk about Melbourne Storm losing a couple of key players. Nico Hines gone to Cronulla. Addo Carr's gone to Canterbury. I guess they're the most notable. Is Cronulla they benefited the best out of all the player changes?
Oh, yeah, Cronulla absolutely were the best recruiting team in the off-season. It comes with a bit of a caveat. There aren't too many players who have gone better after leaving the Melbourne Storm, so definitely has to be a concern. I don't think the Storm will worry about losing either of them, but there's certainly an upgrade on the players got there. What the Sharks need in their pack was some experience and probably a bit of hard-headedness. Dale Finucane is just that, and Nico Hines is a pretty good halfback, a pretty good player. So I think we'll see him be a major upgrade at the Sharks in the half. So I can see some improvement out of them, but they certainly recruited pretty well.
And OB's man, Adam Reynolds has gone to the Broncos, Kurt Catewell. They've done quite well, the Broncos. You need a jet ski to play at Suncorp at the moment, but do you expect a big improvement? They're off a very, very low base, the Broncos, but they've traded well.
I expect almost no improvement because they've got a complete moron at the helm. I actually know that the club is actually trying to. I think they'll be pretty happy to be able to move Kevin Walters on pretty quickly. So no, I think their cast they're going to need Suncorp flooded just to keep the scoring and give themselves a chance. Reynolds is a star, but it's going to be remembered. Reynolds is really getting on. He's also used to playing in very, very good sides. It's a bit different with Cody Walker outside you when you can just kind of do some organisation, leave the playmaking to others, than when you're playing with Albert Kelly and Tyson Gamble and the bunch of plotters they've got in the 3/4 line. So, and look, Adam Reynolds won't even play week 1, got COVID. So, I don't think Brisbane are improving at all with Kevin Walters as coach. I think they're probably building nicely for a year or two down the road, but I don't think that they're building particularly well for this year.
And has Payne Haas's contract been sorted out? Is he still playing for $150,000 a year?
Look, I don't think it's been sorted out yet, but with Ben Eichen there running the club, the footy department now, I'd be stunned if it wasn't sorted out sooner rather than later. I just don't think they'll let a player of his quality go up. They've paid the price kind of from a PR point of view with David Feeder, who certainly hasn't emerged as the best back row in the game at the moment. So I don't think they'll be making that mistake twice.
Seems a really, really long quarantine period. Brisbane Broncos don't play till next Friday. So how long does he have to sit out with COVID? Is it going to be as harsh in the AFL, this ruling? But this sounds crazy. You're going to miss 2 games in NRL if you've got COVID. Toprope, is that right?
You have to get a test on day 7, and then you can, if you test negative, you can start training again on day 8 and play, I think, from day 10. So if they weren't playing early, he would be a chance. He's not. I think on day 8, I think there is some flexibility. If you have gone back to training and you have tested negative once or twice, then you will be allowed to play. But I think if the main test comes back negative, comes back positive, I think you cast for 10 days.
OB? AFL?
Not 100% sure, but no, I think it's only the week. Yeah, I think it's just the one game. And then, you just sort of, I'm not sure if you have to do a test to resume, because I think you're exempt, I think, for 30 days. I think there's talk around that. So I think once you've had it, you're right to go after the 7 days.
I thought it was nearly locked in stone that after 5 days you weren't contagious. But as you can see with Perth and all around Australia and all around the world, there's different rules, and it's absolutely psychotic still. Let's have a look.
Let's not knock it, Scooty. This could provide some great betting. A little bit of COVID info leaks from somewhere. So, little angle there. So keep posted for that one. We'll be on the chat there. So, just keep an eye. Let's not get everything in order just yet.
I'm sure there'll be some nice early angles. Let's have a look at the Premiership prices. And they've finally got it right. Melbourne Storm up favourite at Top Sport. Penrith Panthers $5.50. Sydney Roosters $6. Manly Sea Eagles $8. South Sydney, wow, $10. Double digits again. Parramatta Eels $12. Cronulla, as you say, have traded well, $17. Canberra Raiders $19. And Brisbane Broncos $21. So they've the bookies are keeping them very safe, despite you just absolutely putting the pen through. Toprope, let's have a look at your top 8 ladder. We haven't got your ratings. If you want to subscribe to his futures pack, you can get all his in-depth predictions with staking plans. He was absolutely on fire. 40-odd units in front last season, so $66 in the Little Birdie live shop. So check out that Toprope's NRL Punters Guide. But Melbourne Storm up the top from the Roosters, Penrith, Manly Sea Eagles. So not much change there in the top 4, except for mine and OB's Bunnies, which is very nasty. There's a few smart judges tipping that the Eels are going to struggle. And then you've got my new team, my second team, the Gold Coast Titans out at Seabus, unfloodable. There, no worries there. And Cronulla's going to sneak in with all their trades. But Melbourne Storm, not fazed by any of the trades. Toprope?
Nah, well, have they been phased in the last 15 years by any of the player movement? Like, they're almost untouchable on that front. Like, they keep their spine, and they just work around that. So look, they've still got Pappenhausen at fullback. They've got Munster at 5'8". They've got Jerome Hughes at halfback, and they've got Harry Grant and Brandon Smith at hooker. So absolutely zero concerns with Melbourne this year. I think stability will be the same. Yeah, obviously they were pretty chastened by that pretty ordinary performance in the preliminary final against Penrith. That game was there to be won. Not as chastened as my betting accounts were, but still pretty chastened nonetheless. Players like Addo Carr are pretty easily replaceable. I know MG went to the Storm function the other night, and Xavier Coates mentioned that he'd never had as hard a preseason. Well, zero surprise when you go from Kevin Walters to Anthony Seibold to Craig Bellamy. But you're going to see a good year from him. Like, he's a talented player. To be honest, it's probably underachieved. Has never been that fit. I think he's in for a big year. He's going to get the best out of some of these ordinary Bulldogs players. He did well with Remus Smith last year. I think Nick Meaney will have a good year for for the Storm, kind of playing that Nico Hines fill-in role. So there's nothing to worry about with the Storm. They're flying. They are deserved Premiership favourites, and even at the $5.50 mark, they're over the odds.
Sydney Roosters looks to be a bolter, only 16 wins last season. You've got them second?
Yeah, they were absolutely gutted by injury last year. I thought it was remarkable. They managed to finish fifth. Not only lost Brendan Cordner for the entire year, but the Morris boys for large portions of it. They lost Luke Keary, their star halfback, for a long period of time. They almost had zero continuity in the backline. I think they'll benefit a lot from having blooded some of these young players, Joey Sawali, Sam Walker. They've all got kind of 10, 12 games under their belt. They'll kind of come and play a role this year. I think the Roosters are a really, really good side. I've only got three teams to win the Premiership. I think I've got the Roosters returning to the grand final.
Yeah, what about their depth? I know their best 13, a bit like Manly, their best 13 on paper look fantastic, but is there depth? I know that the young players, Sam Walker and Sawali and these guys have played, but have they got enough depth there, Toprope?
Yeah, I reckon they're probably one of the deeper clubs in the NRL, the Roosters. They've got a whole raft of young, talented forwards who come through. Young Fafita, Egan Butcher, Lindsay Collins returns as he's had a taste of origin. Their pack is as deep as anyone, and their backline they've got plenty of versatility there and plenty of talent. So not worried about depth with them at all. Whereas probably the team we'll talk about next, Penrith, I think depth is going to become a big issue this year.
And why is that, Toprope? You're obviously a little bit savage on them last year. You're all over the Melbourne Storm and the Rabbits, and you got them at the great prices pre-season. Hat tip there, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Storm. And then the Bunnies, they probably had a game to forget also their last game, and they could have easily gone the other way. But what's your assessment with Penrith?
Yeah, so Penrith kind of maintain the majority of their starting side, and if they can avoid injury, they'll do well. But a couple of key losses there. Matt Burton is a massive loss for Penrith. He was outstanding for the Panthers. He only played centre last year, but definitely filled in the halves quite a bit. And Kurt Capel just missed her everywhere. You look at their best 17 bench this year, and they're very, very thin. Any injuries, they had pretty good injury luck last year. They lost Cleary for a bit, they lost To'o for a bit, but there weren't a lot of major injuries kind of crippling their season. If they regress to a kind of normal injury rate, they're going to be playing some young players like Jermaine Hopgood and these kind of players that, they may come on. And Penrith have been very, very good at developing young talent. They may come on, they may be very good contributors, but unknown at the moment. And the players they've bought I wouldn't even call them fringe first graders. Christian Crichton, Sean O'Sullivan, genuine reserve graders who will have to play a role. Like if Cleary doesn't show up week one and there's no certainty, Sean O'Sullivan's playing. He's been to 3 or 4 different clubs, has never been able to hold down a spot.
What about OB's bottom lip sort of dropped? I could see it on the monitor there with South Sydney slipping out of the top 4. Is it? What's the vibe there, OB? How do you feel?
Oh, I don't know why. Like, obviously, Adam Reynolds is a big out, but they've got a young new halfback come in. Cody Walker is probably the best player in the game behind Turbo. And then, you throw Latrell Mitchell into a grand final side. Well, hello, we're back.
I kind of don't disagree that much with you there, OB, in terms of the 3 or 4 best players at the Bunnies are as good as any in the comp. Mitchell, Walker, Cam Murray, absolutely outstanding, all very good. But they fall away quickly after that. The loss of Reynolds is big, but Ilias might kind of play a role. Remember, Reynolds did a similar thing when he kind of took over from Chris Sutton as well, came in as a rookie and was really good. But the big loss for me is Wayne Bennett. You've lost Bennett. I know Demetrio has been his assistant for a long time. It was a very smooth handover. For all Demetrio may have learned from Bennett, he hasn't learned half of what Bennett knows. So I think that's going to play a role. And I think depth is a big, big worry. LaShawn Mitchell, for as good as he is an absolute nut job. And has proven that time and time again. So he'll be spending some time on the sidelines with suspension. So if Cody, Cam, and Latrell can all stay healthy and all stay on the park, they'll push for top 4 spot. But if 1 or 2 of those get hurt, this is the team up top who the ask would fall completely out of. And I could see them dropping out of the 8. I don't think they will, but a couple of injuries, like they're going to be a very, very fragile side. Their 3-quarter line is very, very poor. Their forward depth very poor. So, this is a team that needs to stay healthy.
OB's just left the building.
I was your biggest fan, Toprope, and that has gone out the window.
As soon as you said arse fall out of it, that was the end of his day. Hey, Toprope, I want to bring you back to a real team. Don't worry about South too much. What about Manly Sea Eagles here? And we'll talk about the best player in the game. They've got a lot of firepower, Manly, and if they get a full season out of Tommy Turbo, are they capable of winning it?
No, I don't think so. I think I think Manly are probably one of those boring teams to assist you. I think their range is probably 4th to 4th. I think they are a step below the top teams, and I don't really see where their scope for improvement is. Trebojevic was astonishing last year. You just don't see repeats of those seasons the following year. So even with another really good year and some slight regression, I just find it hard to believe that they will better there. They didn't have a lot of injuries last year. They'll start this year with their 2 edge-back rowers, Schuster and Olakau'atu on the sidelines to injury. They're a very good side. They can beat anyone on their day, but over a 30-week season, I'm not sure that they're good enough to go and win the grand final. Having said that, I think they're kind of well above teams 5 to 8.
I just with Manly and also like a Parramatta, I just can't see them winning sort of those 3 or 4 finals that they need to and beat beat the Storm, beat Penrith, beat the Bulldogs. So I just can't see them. I just can't see them doing that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It'll be very hard to beat any of those teams, and particularly hard to beat the Bulldogs, seeing they'll be probably taking home another wooden spoon.
Just had to throw it in there for you, Toprope.
I think looking at the Premiership market, the only value or a bolter that I can see out of the pack is Cronulla. So you're obviously saying the Storm and the Roosters are the hardest teams to beat. So not much, or you can just back them both, but you're taking a very short price if you're doing that. But Cronulla have got Craig Fitzgibbon and they've got Finucane and Nico Hines from the Storm. Are they a sneaky chance to play off in the grand final, or are you just going to see them rise up the ladder? Are they still a year away?
Yeah, I kind of think them and the Gold Coast are probably in a pretty similar position, probably both a year away. The competition just has a really long tail this year. The new rules and how the cap has kind of played out over the last little bit. We've got probably, seven hopeless teams and a kind of middling tier of kind of, 5 or 6 teams that are only kind of okay and 3 or 4 kind of elite teams. So, if Cronulla kind of finished 4th and kind of rose to that, or the Gold Coast in a similar position did that, I wouldn't be overly surprised. But I'm like I've said with Manly, I can't see them winning kind of 3 or 4 finals games and going all the way. Fitzgibbon's got a bit to prove as a coach. He's first-year coach, hasn't really coached everyone else. So I think he'll be a pretty good coach coming from the Trent Albertson tree. But I think there's still a bit to prove at the Sharks.
Okay, let's have a look at the Wooden Spoon market, courtesy of Top Sport, and the poor old West Tigers. They've let every big name go. $3.30. North Queensland Cowboys $4.60. St George Dragons $5. New Zealand Warriors $7. Canterbury Bulldogs. Well, they won't be winning the Wooden Spoon if you listen to OB, $10. Newcastle Knights, $10. Broncos, $13. Could be some value there. And Canberra Raiders. A lot of people are sort of sitting on the fence. Some expect the Raiders to do really well, and others have just put the pen through them. But having a look at that lease wins market or the Wooden Spoon, tell us. Let's start with the favourites there, West Tigers.
Look, I think there's probably 6 teams. We'll start with the West Tigers. They're awful. They're badly coached. There's no way Maguire survives the year. Some of the recruitment has been absolutely horrific. What they're doing, bringing back Jackson Hastings to be their saviour, is defies belief. But if this team has ever reached its salary cap floor, it'll be they're overpaying them. So if they're even near the salary cap, it's a disaster. But they're bad. But I haven't got them winning the Spoon. I think there's a clear standout for mine for the Spoon.
No, take it away.
I'd like to know who that is. The Cowboys, in my kind of 12 years of doing the kind of punters guide and greatest game of all, the worst rated side, including last year's Bulldogs, I'll put together pre-season, is this year's North Queensland Cowboys. So they lack depth, they lack talent, they lack coaching. They fail on every front. They have almost nothing in the cupboard. So $4.60 for me, they were clear favourites for one. If you can get $3 at the Cowboys for the Wooden Spoon, I think that's value. So $4.60, jump on.
OB, any thoughts?
Look, they're probably a little bit out of sight, out of mind down here in Melbourne. Like you look at the Storm, and then you look at the sort of the top Sydney teams, and you sort of forget about North Queensland, Gold Coast, the Broncos. Obviously, you think about because they're a big club, but they just don't have anyone. I couldn't name one player. I wouldn't have thought.
New Zealand Warriors are an interesting team for me. It's going to change, I guess, with the COVID rules, and I'm surprised to see them installed on the fourth line. Where are they going to end up, and where are they at as a club? They've just been on the road for 2 years. They're in the abyss. Like, what's going on with them?
So the guy I consider the best judge in footy, I won't give his name away, but has been doing these ratings for 20-odd years. He said for the first time ever, he gave a coach a minus rating out of 10. So Nathan Brown was that coach. And as long as he's at the helm, they are going completely backwards. He is one of the great myths in rugby league. So bad that I would rather Trent Barrett coaching my side than Nathan Brown.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing at the Warriors. They've lost Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Yeah, obviously their star player. He's gone and played rugby union. This team is very, very ordinary. There's plenty of whinging going on. Their new saviour, Reece Walsh, will probably be at the Dolphins next year. So, look, things aren't good at the Warriors. They'll certainly be in contention for that Wooden Spoon. There's no hope of finals football issue for them.
What's your little? I know you've got your punters guide out there, and you've got the full set for 66 in their little birdie shop. But what's your little nugget? Obviously, North Queensland Cowboys is your value bet. Anything over north of $3, you want to sink the teeth into there. But is there anything out of the top 8 or the misty 8 markets, or something sort of around the top try scorers? Is there another little cherry there for the punters listening at home that don't want to fork out the 66 for one of the most comprehensive NRL punters guides I've ever seen, and was ultra profitable last year as well? So, what's your other little freebie there?
I'll give you a couple of little freebies here for the punters who don't want to fork out. Just go fork out, punters. Over 7.5 wins St George Illawarra. There's absolutely no way they are down the bottom of this comp. Like, Griffin's a bit Brian Smith-like. He's a hard taskmaster. He's bought a whole lot of veterans. They're not much good, but they're not in that kind of horrific class that some of these teams are either. And bet against Newcastle. Bet them to miss the 8. Bet them under their win total, which I think is 10.5. Bet them even to win the Wooden Spoon at $10. That's probably the best bet. I think you can get about $1.70 on them to miss the top 8. The Newcastle Knights. They were absolute frauds last year. They went 12-12. Their true win rating was sub 9. So they were a team that should have been nowhere near the top 8 last year, and will not finish anywhere near it this year.
Bit of smart money around for St George to knock off the Bunnies in the Charity Shield. Nice little move at the plus, and would have surprised a few punters.
Yeah, big move. They were pretty impressive, and I think a long year is going to tell on the Dragons. I certainly can't see them winning kind of 14 games, but they've got some talented young players. They cleared out a lot of deadwood. They're going to be good enough to kind of, for me, they're in that kind of Canberra Raiders fringe 8 kind of level there for me. So they were Wooden Spoon favourites for a long time with a lot of bookies. I was a bit stunned by that. They're certainly not as bad as that.
Any thoughts out of the Melbourne headquarters?
I just know Matt Duffy sort of hurts the Dragons, but they've sort of, Griffin's a good coach. He's had some good success where he has been. So I like those bets. I'll be having a nice little multi together for you there, Toprope.
Plenty of multis available. How good's the pre-season multis currently available around the shop? Very, very enticing. There's not much going to change this year, OB. So if you can back last year's top $4, finish top 6, you'll be doing well.
All right, so make sure you check out the Little Birdie shop there for the NRL Punters Guide. It's got about 8 different ratings points, and it's a really in-depth preview. So you get all the analysis there from Toprope, and he's got unit staking advice next to all the different bets. So he's actually backing every club, every different which way. So if there's a team, there's a bet, and there's the units staking amount next to it. So you're absolutely mad if you don't check that out, and make sure you get it before next Wednesday. So it's going to be a cracking start to the season, and we're going to have a look at our new show on Monday, which will be First Look. So it'll be a rapid review of the AFL and NRL action, and then the guys will try and pick off 1 or 2 of their early best bets, and then the show will have the second half on the Friday, so you'll get more up-to-date information. So the Little Birdie podcast, as we said at the start of the show, is going to split into 2, so no more Wednesdays. There's going to be a 20-minute show on the Monday and a 20 or 25-minute show on the Friday. We'll chop it in half. It'll be faster, it'll be harder, and it'll be more about the opening lines and the market moves and the players and the injuries, so you can get the best of both worlds on Mondays and Fridays, so you can cut your bookie apart. So big thanks to you, Toprope, and the boys down in Melbourne. I'm going to be in the green vest from now on in, so Scooty will say goodbye to the Little Birdie sports show, and I'll only be used as a bit of a pinch hitter, so if the boys need me for a bit of dribble and to steer the ship when everyone else is on holidays, I'll be there, but I'm leaving you guys in safe hands. But that's a cheerio for me, bit sad, but I'll be back to terrorise you all, and I'll be watching all the games and sniping you in our chat group. Make sure you check out the Discord chat group that we've got. There's going to be more banter on AFL and NRL, and with your subs for AFL Stings and Greatest Game of All. Once you sign up to the season weekly packages and monthly in the whole season, once you jump on those subs, you'll actually get access to Toprope and MG's private chat room. So you'll get their selections as you would have last season, and then the guys will talk about the games as they sort of flow on from Thursdays onwards and Wednesdays with the AFL opener in a couple of weeks' time. So if you sub weekly, that's part of the action there in the Discord chat group. So we're going to be taking our private little chats that we have in Facebook onto the Discord channel. So it's going to be a lot of fun stuff in there going off the last couple of seasons, don't you think, Toprope?
Let me just put in a disclaimer that I am not responsible for anything that I post on a Discord chat after 7 o'clock. And if you are going to have one bet this year, you could not get more on the over 20 minutes on a Monday and over 25 minutes on a Friday length of show. You could not get more on it.
It's going to be interesting to see if we can keep it short and sharp, that's for sure. But MGOB, thanks for your contribution this week, and good luck next week.
Thanks, Goody. Good to see you.
See you, mate.
Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and jump into the Discord chat. We've got free chat areas, or you can get it when you sub to the guys' packages. So it's going to be a big season of AFL and NRL, thanks to our good friends at Top Sport, Punting Form, and Manscaped. Make sure you check out Manscaped and plug in Little Birdie as the promo code, and you get 20% off all your shaving equipment there. And I absolutely love it and swear by it. And even Toprope, he looks pretty fresh there with the beard trimmed up and the hair as well. So make sure you check out Manscaped. And the Weed Whacker is what I love up the beak. So once you sort of hit past 30, you can get rid of those nose hairs. And OB might have to get on board here. He's pretty clean cut as well. All right, that's a wrap from us, and we'll see you on Monday.